All right, guys. Thank you for joining me. I really appreciate it. I am just popping in here because I had a bunch of you asking, when are you doing your daily thing? And I so appreciate I am doing my daily thing. Yesterday, I did not jump on for the daily thing because I was working. It seemed like I've been doing a lot of work lately, just a lot of work. There's been a lot of, for those close friends and family, my dad getting tested for a kidney donor. We had a donor come in from Ohio and was in kind of those final stages of getting tested, found something in their heart, which is like bad news for both people, right? Ruth, Steph, Crystal, welcome, Terry. And so that didn't end. We were hoping to be rushing into surgery and getting all the things done. But now there's just, continued testing and starting over. And it's kind of a rush against time. And then also with the shortage of nursing staff and certain provisions, it's just a little bit more difficult to get much of anything done. So we are keeping positive, but that is why I'm puffy. It's why you know, I probably cried yesterday. It's why I look like this. Anyway, I'm excited that you're joining me. And for those of you asking how my dad is doing, that's where we are at. We're doing all right. Um, Steph, I'm so glad that you saw the notification that you're joining me. You guys, if you're not getting notifications, not sure where you're at. You're going to want to click on those. You're going to want to subscribe at Paranormal Sarah. And then hopefully, as we've had some major announcements this month and kind of slowly, subtly putting them out there even yesterday, which of course, Mercury went direct. I knew that's when I would hear it. Right? We talked about that going to be seeing us on some bigger platforms come astrology time. Now, I do have my rock and mineral deck right here. I'm not going to lie to you. The readings I'm doing this weekend are probably going to be with my rock and mineral deck because when I want to feel less, I will think more. I've been reiterating that to my clients as well. Uh, and that's oftentimes, science and spirituality. If we're talking about how energy is moving, introspectively speaking, how do you move things? Well, you ask yourself why. You start feeling yourself, being emotional, and you go, why am I feeling like this? And it allows you to pull yourself into a different space and be a little bit more pragmatic about it. So I have been doing a lot of thinking. I've been doing a lot of writing things down. I've been doing a lot of just delving into my research and my books and the things that I'm working on. And it has been really fun to see what has come out of just how people are utilizing the energy right now and astrologically speaking, some of the patterns of behavior. So before I do readings, and I'm doing that with this deck today because this is an oracle deck, but I also have runes. So you can, and we will, have a little bit of a reading for both sides of the card. And it's just for association, word and symbol association with runes, but also with what this oracle deck kind of interprets with an animal. So Saturday, February 5th, do you guys know what's happening in the realm of astrology? If you don't, that's okay. I'm going to tell you anyway. The moon is in Aries and it squares off with Venus and Capricorn today. Don't know if you even give a shit. Don't know if you care. But if you work in social services, if you're a parent, if you've been paying attention to the vibes, if you've been trying to predict future plan, you're going to notice that feelings are on fire. That's the moon. Think of lunacy and werewolves and becoming a monster in just the right light, menstrual cycles, menstruation. The movement of our chi, our yin energy, in Aries fire. That's a cardinal sign. That is, you can't really see it, but over here behind me, that is going to be your forward and direct fire energy. That means we're going to be feeling really passionate today. We're going to be feeling a little, fiery, passionate, full of desire, full of want. Think about that. The difference between want and need, and spontaneity, how to use spontaneous impulsive energy. And then also Crystal, Venus in Capricorn, which she says, oh my gosh, my moon is in Aries with Venus in Capricorn. So that should be a good day for you today, Crystal. Be sure and put those thoughts into actions and really master sensuality. I'll give you a few pieces of advice on how I do it. You do it on however you want. But for this and the astrology, And Steph says, I just have to pipe in something from this week's astrology. We said to watch for something being revealed in the news, and I'm watching to see if anything comes up from the Prime Minister in the UK. I think the big revelations, a lot of big revelations are happening when we talked about Mercury going direct, trying to pull on who it is that we get our source of information from, all of that. We see it playing out. Venus and Capricorn, though, is going to speak to this. Venus, vagina, art, sensuality, beauty. Beauty, give me love. Venus, I always think of the skunk from Looney Tunes. In Capricorn. Capricorn is the king of knowing. The king of knowing what you know. Silent, yes. Isolated, yes. Not going to text you when you want them to, yes. If you have a Capricorn friend and you're thinking, God, are they fucking ignoring me? What the hell? No. They're out being. Still, probably sleeping, resting, checking out, overthinking, reading, planning, plotting. That's exciting. They may not be talking as much. They're Capricorn. And Venus, this is our sensuality wanting to think. This is our diet, our swimsuit for the new year, what we think is beautiful, our self-care, our sensuality, our sex life, our money, our spending habits in Capricorn. This people will be getting pregnant. Be careful. Long-term planning, vasectomy, timing. Venus and Capricorn, your sensuality. I want to have, this is my new fashion. This is my new career. This is the way I'm shifting. And I'm feeling fiery about it. So today people are going to be feeling a lot of wants, and that Venus, also feminine, also yin, Capricorn, also feminine, also yin. Ah! So it's going to be a lot of wanting to indulge, wanting to go in, wanting to be introspective, wanting to avoid, wanting to not answer the phone, even though Mercury just went direct, and there's going to be, it's because it's overwhelming. Okay. And so for all of us, it's as if we're looking through life and we have one of those little Oculus things that pulls, down the filters. And some of the filters are going to be Capricorn, and they're going to be Aries. And this means that there's going to be a lot of fire, high temperatures, and pressure on the feelings and thoughts that we have about our long-term vision and plans. So I had shared with you guys, Terry, Steph, ways that I like to manage this energy. I literally will do the alchemy where I go through all the planets and my own self and do the math of what energy we have where, minimize it. Fractions, I know, deduce it to the smallest fraction that you can get to. Look at that energy and say, okay, how is this teeter-totter working? What are the balancing acts that I need to do? A lot of earth grounding, a lot of water containment, boundaries, stating only the truth. Yes, people are going to be blunt assholes right now. Don't overfeel about it. Take it personally. People are going to shut down. Think about what you think about what you think about what you're thinking about, but don't overthink. So knowing your limits, your capacity, your vessel, your space, redoing, cleaning, organizing, purging, donating, recycling. I'm going to be doing some watercolor. I'm going to be doing some art today. So the readings that I can do and go out can also come with art if people would like. I always enjoy doing art this time of year if you're feeling extra emotional. If you need to get out that pressure, you need to release some of that water or those thoughts. Don't dwell, said Steph. Dwell is the key word there. Dwell is not the verb we want to do. We want to recycle. You want to move that water. You're going to want to talk about it, but know who you're talking about it with. Know your systems. So very interesting, very relevant. I expect that to come in handy today. I know that I was going to either go out thrift store shopping and do this and do that and distract myself and go out and spend money and get a coffee and do the things, but I really need to save my money. I don't need to do that. I want to do that, but I don't need to do that. I can make a coffee here. I can stay in and cuddle with my boys. We can watch Ghostbusters. We can have a snack. It's snowing pretty heavily, so I really don't need to go out. Why do I want to go out? Why? Bringing it back to earth. Always asking when you're looking at how energy works, yin yang, whether you're Wiccan or a pagan or the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, or the angels if you're a Freemason, we can at least deduce it down to 4. And I appreciate that because then we can bring in astrology. We can bring in everything. We can literally bring in everything. But 4, I feel like mathematically we can manage. Knowing that we need to keep pulling it back to why. Why do I feel like I need to go out? Well, because I don't want to be feeling about my dad. I don't want to be crying. I don't want to be sitting around doing this. But what do I need to be doing? Thinking about it. Hi, Mike. Welcome. These are important processes of moving that water. If you don't want to talk about it, then you might have to think about it. If you don't want to think about it, then you're going to feel that impulse to go out, knowing that there's a cranked up fire on our boiling pot of water and that our water is high and that there's a lot going on, that we're trying to micromanage a lot. This may not, it will erupt. There will be messes. People will say things. There will be splatter, right? So keep that in mind right now. It's probably not best I go out. It's going to be messy. What does messy mean? Could be all sorts of things. So I don't need to do that. I don't need to do that. So what I do need to do is just reconnect with family, be around the people I love, you know, adjust that pressure, move that emotional stuff, clean my space, feel good, open windows, open doors, do art, give to people, give more of what you want to come in. So very, very, very cool. Mike says you just need to relieve that pressure. Yeah. And relieving, and some of we might even be feeling, that crank of solar flares have been really bad this week. So like womp, womp, headaches, fog. Ugh. We don't want stagnant water because then it gets murky. Well, stagnant water can get clear, or at least you'll think it's clear, but you don't always know what the ingredients are because you might just be looking at water. But if it's not moved, things will have settled. Things that are soluble or not are going to start going, moving up and down, like science, like in our bodies. It might look, we might be masking, we might be out doing the things, but we're not actually engaging any of those emotions at all. We're detached. And then when you suddenly go in there and go, hey, no, hey, what's really going on? Whoa, something can get stirred up immediately. And then it's a lot. And then you're just like, whoa. Whereas it's just nice to have a nice stream. There's not a bunch of crap. There's not a bunch of stuff settling at the bottom, things we're not sure about. Things are moving just as they should be, and that we're only hanging on to water that is absorbing into the earth and going into the roots of the things that we're growing, and that everything is a cohesive organism for self and others, micro, macro, all of it. But it's all alchemy, and it's all pretty easy to maneuver, and I use it in divination. I use it in my forensic counseling. I do it as a mental health worker, and I do it when I'm working in the occult too. So it's depending on how you see that. You might be a chemist, you might be a fisherman, you might be a baker. It depends on how you move and see and experience that energy. In psychology, we talk about our learning channels, whether you're visual, auditory, or kinesthetic. In hypnosis, we talk about, the different binaural beats. If you're in a theta range or a delta range, or like, where are you at? Where, tell me. But really, you can be aware at all times of what's going on, and you can maneuver. I like to do it through neurolinguistic programming, through words. Like, why am I doing this? Or how am I, like, who, what, when, where, why can be quite a magical tool to be able to run yourself through that in an anxiety space. Paul! Speak of someone who is capable of managing all sorts of crazy energy. Paul, an author and speaker in the paranormal, kind of like Mike, who's a producer and film person within the paranormal, just launched some really cool projects on his page. And you guys, thank you for joining me. So this deck is a little different. It is a living artist out of the West Coast, and she's up on the Oregon area. I always remember it as Crescent Springs, which is right on the top of California and Oregon, but I think it's actually Seattle, but I don't know for certain, and she doesn't have it on the box. But anyway, she's alive. She's fantastic. Flowers from the dead. It grows, and there are more. And of course, I went through this whenever I was collaborating with an amazing witch out in the realm. Her name is Liz, and she was doing a set of runes. She was actually making runes from scratch, and she still does custom orders, by the way. And I've got 2 people that I go to for those. And Liz and I were just going through each rune, and we had this whole oracle deck spread out. We were looking at the words, we were looking at the animals and going, what rune would go with this? And a lot of them are repeated because there's only so many runes in the Farthurk alphabet, and there's a lot more of the oracle deck cards. But being able to go through this and just say, okay, through word association, because that really is what it's about, and the cognitive theories of bringing things back into our brain. At some point, it'll be gestalt. At some point, it'll be, occipital, but at some point, it's still here. And let's just bring a little bit of both in. Let's see what it is that we get. And I need your permission. It's like a vampire, right? We don't just do things, we say it first, which I said I would kind of incorporate the no-knock warrant as we're talking here, something that's huge going on here in Minneapolis. You guys know that I work with law enforcement and violent offenders specifically. So here in Minneapolis, we had a shooting. We had a SWAT team going in cross jurisdiction from St. Paul to Minneapolis and shot a man who was there, was not the person on the warrant. He had a gun and raised it at the SWAT, and SWAT shot him. They were there serving a homicide warrant. It was pretty crazy. Crystal, and in this space, I want you to think about what your question is. A lot of people wondering, gosh, we should just, people are protesting and screaming out there as Mercury goes direct, news headlines trying to censor Joe Rogan, and people saying this and people saying that. It's fantastic, as we predicted this on Tuesday, how things in the airspace would change. And we've been talking about holy Yehovah, Elohim, incantation, oration, ways that you speak your air, ways that you demand someone do something, and the difference between saying, Minneapolis police, we're here to serve a warrant, versus secretly jumping in really quick. The few seconds that it saves you and what that might mean is quite a bit. So let's talk about it a little bit, and it's going to come up in today's cards. I just know it. Isa or Isa. I always think of ice or Isa, the I, the one. One is the loneliest number that you'll ever do. Scared, pause, anxious. Why? Ooh, we put it with the shark. Solitude and anxiety. That great white usually swimming alone, maybe a few little fish there around its mouth, but for the most part, that great white is swimming by itself. Ooh. Crystal, clear, shark, ancient, ancestors. Anxiety of health-related things, water and solitude, definitely. I mean, have you ever seen a shark sleep? I like watching the sperm whales. They, when they're sleeping, they look like the little mines in a minefield or something. It's wild. Anyway, sharks are fascinating. Don't get cancer. They are health magnets, which is why we do shark fin soup. Florida just recently outlawing shark fishing. I wonder how that'll change tourism. And think of that scared pause that you have right before a shark gets you, or right before you're circling, right before you're moving in an anxious space about what it is that you want to freeze frame, like Zach Morris. Freeze. This is because if you can freeze, if you can have more time, if you can have more earth magic, if you can have more time to just think, to just say, to just prepare, whether you're a criminal or a SWAT team person going or saying, hey, stop. Hey, did you know being able to say something and speak it like an incantation? It is people in the paranormal, don't say the demon's name. Don't say the demon's name. Why? What are you scared of? Do you not know if that's a dolphin fin or a shark fin? Do you not know if there's chum in the water? Do you not know if it's going to get you or not, or what you would do? Are you feeling scared? Anxious. A lot of times anxiety comes from uncertainty. We just aren't sure. Like a stellan on the Nordic water, we look out and it's just, we can't see. You can't see behind that closed door, so you yell. You speak. Hey, it's me, demon. Ha 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 ha. And you say it. And something turns and looks at you. You are then prepared. You then know, I see you. You know what you're looking at, and it knows what it knows, that you know that it knows that we know that you know. And if you kick in that door afterwards doing your after a no knock, yeah, there might be a hostage at that point then taken, or the cocaine might be flushed down the toilet. But at the very least, your intention of what you were doing was to make sure that person was prepared and knowledgeable. And it goes both ways, because everything we do is mirrored in our own reality. That we then, because you better believe that SWAT is his life's changing. that person, that officer, is going to be held accountable. It may not be justifiable. The city's rioting, hundreds of cars blocking traffic, people dying in the ambulance because they're unable to get to the hospital in the city, and no one cares because people are focused over here because no one cares because the match of intention is we don't care. We are just doing something without speaking. We're doing something without criticizing it. We're doing something without knowing for certain. And you know for certain when you say, "Hey, are you sure?" And you actually allow that person to act after knowing. If they point a gun at you after knowing it's the police at the door, you better believe it's a justifiable shot and you should shoot them. But if you're kicking in the door and they're waking up in a hypnagogic state and they're not sure what's going on and their friend is over there like killing people, they might be a little on edge. You're not sure how they're going to act because it's action without thinking. You need you need a little bit more time to think. You need earth magic. You need to ground. You need to pause. I like that. I think that that's relative. I think that that's important. Um, let's go through here. Listening to you, getting advice. I just love this. Paul, learning to recognize anger is a waste of energy. Oh, learn to recognize that anger is a waste of energy. Anger, not so much a waste of energy if you keep it. Recognize it and then go, oh shit, I got radioactive plutonium. Like use it, compost it. Anger can be very useful. I'm not going to lie, I was angry for a long time after my mom was killed. I've been angry for a while about all the abuse I went through and trauma I've endured and that things that weren't fair and this and that and the other thing. And I was very angry. And holding on to it, it allowed me to get to know it, but then recycling it, not spitting it on other people, not creating chaos and burning people that I love and ruining systems around me, but learning to recycle it. It was very, very powerful. And I think it can be helpful, right? But it takes some time. Takes some time. Steph says, man, can I have a card, please, Sarah? Absolutely. Boom. Steph, I want you to think about. Ooh, this is a animal that's come up a lot lately. It's been a spirit animal for me. This is an animal that is teaching you how to utilize your resources. I know because I was just reading about it yesterday. Again, it came up again. It came up again. Nate King Cole, powerful energies of paying attention to color. This is the squirrel. The squirrel showing itself as, something that's always out there like sword in the stone, uh, uh, falling in love with things, energy, dancing, playful, like just high energy, moon and Aries for sure. But the squirrel is also capable of balancing that work home, work fun, go out, stay in balance, yin and yang, moderation. The squirrel does it because, his cheeks are full as he's out having fun. He's using storage. He understands the space and vessel and being able to use things, not misuse them or abuse them. So, anyways, ayahuasca, however you want to pronounce it, need stable, the yew tree. Man, if depending on if you're pagan or Nordic paths, Wiccan paths, you're going to know that yew tree, wands made of this tree. The crossroads, if you're into Baron Samedi, voodoo, hoodoo, African magic, and early Catholicism, cryptic things, gypsy glyphs of nomadic travel. What you need to know and being stable, responsibilities and balance, and knowing how to moderate those. Very powerful. I would say, again, knowing how to use air energy right now. I am sad to say I've been present during a lot of search warrants. Being someone there, if we're doing a drug bust and there's likely going to be children involved or people having a trauma response, but I usually do crisis de-escalation. So that's my specialty, is to de-escalate somebody. We have somebody who's capable of some heinous crime and pretty powerfully angry or even armed and dangerous. We want to disarm. We want to bring it on back, bring it on back. We want to reel it in. Ooh, we want to reel it in. We want to lower our tone. We want to talk but not be condescending. We want to be aware. We want to make things feel good, initiate feeling but not the bad ones. Be aware but not too aware, not suggestive. But you definitely, transparency, stating your case, why I'm here, what I'm doing. It's very helpful to managing that energy. If we know right now that there's some Aries, there's some impulse, you're going to just be boop, 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 darting out into the road, young squirrel, squirrel. That it's going to be hard to pay attention for a long period of time because there's fire and you've got to move with fire. You could get burned with fire. Everything you know could get damaged with fire. So you have to be aware and constantly moving. Ha, 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 ha. Steph, no, you need to take breaks. No, you need to delegate to people. Know what you're doing. Don't try and do it all. Know the difference. Ping bong, bing bong. Doing this, okay? Going to be very helpful. Focused my life so much around anger in my childhood, and as an adult, I've projected that into my wife and even my marriage. It's hard to work with anger. And I would say, Mike, I love it that it's in many ways brought you and I together. I specialize with that, right? Antisocial personality disorder, narcissism, violent people. I love that demographic. What? People that have killed people? Indeed. I have always enjoyed the Grim Reaper, the image of the faceless, non judging, not smiling with you, not crying with you, but with you, however you see it. Psychology, perception, pareidolia. Everybody has trauma, and it's different for everybody. And you want to hate it because that's what it is. It's not justifiable. It may not even be rational. And if you can't use it, you can't use it. But then you realize if you're looking at baking soda and you hate it, and you just hate it and you hate it, and you just throw more baking soda in the baking soda, more hate on the anger, you're not really changing it. You have to love it. You have to treat it differently. You have to ask, why do I hate it? When counselors talk about anger being a tip of an iceberg or an indirect emotion, that you have to bring it down like Donnie Darko to love and fear. Is it love or fear? Is it the neglect of love or the fear of not being loved? Or like, what is it that you get angry about or that you hate? And in like my case with my mom and things I went through, um, I know that there are specifics and I know what those triggers are. And I know that it's not necessarily, I know why I was angry about them, but I don't need to be angry about it because it doesn't serve me. So now I love that I know better and I can feel better about it and treat it differently. So it's kind of a cool process, a long process, shadow work, as we might call it in the realm, therapy. Right. Jessica, Jessica, Jessica McCreary. Ooh, I love this animal. Talk about indigenous, always having the opportunity to go and see and visit different reservations. The family that picked and raised me and helped me out, my mom's best friend and my godparents, taking me to cool places to experience different cultures a lot. And I'm very thankful. And then now living in northern Minnesota, I get a lot of indigenous influence and I love it. I love the different tribes and the different parts of history that you get to learn. The magic, Appalachian Irish folk magic is different than hoodoo, voodoo, do what stuff that you get down in the bayou, which is different than vulva, Sinti, northern um, Saskatchewan magic. It's different. And I love it. It makes me so excited that it differentiates out into that tree, into leaves of many different colors, but it does all come from the same seed. But this is the bear. And the bear, we see it in North America a lot. We've got the bear, but bears are all over the world. Polar bears, big bears, black bears, brown bears, itty bitty bears, tiny bitty bears. And the bear, this card says strength and confidence, but I also think about the confidence to go out. Man, they can run, they can climb, they can jump, they can do anything. They also never seem that scared. I always think of the Leonardo DiCaprio scene where he's getting attacked by a bear and that's totally how it would go down. And so it absolutely is terrifying. And one should have a great reverence and respect for a bear, which is why courage. Now I've been doing shadow work this week. I've been doing a lot of invocation of particular spirits and entities, and one of them works specifically with courage. Courage, specifically courage, talking about how you premeditate and how you prove something, how you probe us, how you know something is good or true, what that process looks like. And to prove something like in a court of law would be to argue it. Have courage to do so, to step up with humiliation, because air magic is a pow, 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 it's a fight. And to go out into the fire, a martyr, a sacrifice. Hey, don't do that! To speak up. It does require courage. But you have to know how to harness it. You have to know when to do the slow clap. You do have to know, and you have to be able to be somewhat sure because it could be quite risky. Proof in baking is, of course, to aerate your dough. Needs a certain amount of time to rise. Too much time, it'll deflate. You've got to know the pressure, the temperature. It takes a lot of courage to know all that. The bear, though, eats tiny little berries and keeps that big old body sustained. Knows what foods to eat, when to go out and be resourceful. Truth. They know. They trust. It's very divine. They're very powerful. I like that. I like that for you. Jessica, I hope that finds you well. I know it'll make sense. Terry says, man, I want a card. Steph says, yes, PSI, I love it. It's always a battle to recognize and work through anger for us to get there and recognize it. I think especially, and dare I say this, I'm going to say it. I'm going to offend some people. Be careful. I think just knowing kind of the way energy works, because you have yin and yang, knowing that our thoughts and feelings are predominantly a female thing based on nurturing and taking the time to do it, and that the masculine, the saying and doing by trial by fire. I think that it's quite interesting to say, men often will struggle with dealing with anger. Women struggle with what to do with it, because they don't want to be a bitch. They don't want to be, too masculine or, too forward. Whereas men, they don't, necessarily even want to deal with it or sort it. It's definitely very relevant to how that works, and I think it's fantastic. Terry, boom. Ooh, Terry, I love this. I've been thinking of Watership Down lately. It's been coming into my mind. A lot of rabbits have been showing themselves as well. Fertility, Capricorn season, so be careful. Fertility, new projects. But look at that card. Look at that word. How many times have we said that today? Of all the thousands of billions of words we could have been saying, spontaneous, moon and Aries, rabbit. This lines up with Kanaz and Sawolu. Kanaz being a revelation. Aha! Ha! Pew, 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 pew. Aha! And Sawolu, the sun. Go! Go! Beep, 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 beep. Aha! And Sawolu, the sun. Go. If you're interested in the tree of life and constellations, and you can see these sigils and how they are actually going to be squiggles over a sigil, that they're actually cryptic and telling you and showing you something on that tree of life, indeed, the Sephiroth is there. The aha. How do you get an aha? How do you know when to go? How do you maneuver through spontaneity and fire energy? Well, you know what you're doing. You take time before you do it. There's all sorts of really crazy things that actually is an equation of math or chemistry, and you can do it cognitively as well. You can do it spiritually as well. It's really fascinating, and I love it. So the rabbit following like Alice down the rabbit hole. Be careful knowing what you know, because you can't unknow them, unless of course you have like Alzheimer's or something like that. I mean, we can do extraction, but it's hard. The rabbit. How far will you go? Ask yourself those limits before you do it. How far will you go down that rabbit hole? In fire, we ask, is the risk worth the reward? So there you go, Terry. Steph, yes. Ames, hello. Paul says, cancer has taught me this battle. Paul, I hate that. And I vividly remember one of my very first days going to, because I started out school thinking I wanted to be a forensic medical examiner. And because I didn't make it with the Kansas City Police Department. I had used marijuana one time and I told them that. And then they said, we can't hire you for 3 years. And I was devastated. And then I worked with a few different departments in the military and found myself thinking, you know what, military police doing forensic body work, I could do this. And the first day of class, the teacher said, "How many of you in here have cancer?" And it was really awkward because I actually did have cancer at the time. I was going through ovarian cancer. I was very young, and I raised my hand. I think the teacher thought I was being bold or a smartass. But of course you couldn't really respond because you weren't sure if there should be a pity party immediately. It's weird how that diagnosis can change the way we see ourselves and the way people see us, right? But he said, "Right. Everyone should have their hand in the air. Everyone raise your hand. That's right. You have cancer. You just maybe don't know it. Something in your body, a mole, a freckle, a cell is mutated, maybe in your kidney, maybe in your big toe, maybe on the hairs of your head, maybe a follicle, maybe an eye. Who knows? If we live long enough and technology smart enough to tell us to pinpoint it before it grows big enough, because your immune system will say, hey, that mutant shouldn't be there, eat it. And it starts eating itself like a cannibal. But indeed, something could be wrong. You are fallible. And so all of us have cancer. We may not know it yet. And what does knowing do to change your reality? And I remember, I was already pretty deeply in love with psychology at that time and the paranormal anyway. And that teacher was pretty influential to me, also quite an asshole. And cancer changes your perspective, changes how people see you too. I think it's can be good as much as it is scary. It can be good. So I'm always excited, Paul, to hear your posts because I know that they will be divine. Just knowing that you have an awareness about you and your state. And for those people actively dealing with a terminal illness or cancer that's upon them now, I feel like you are given a certain filter and awareness and platform that gives you access to information and perspectives most people don't have yet. And it's crazy. Um, Mary says, man, I have no sound. Ames, someone please come to my state and investigate the Crescent Hotel in Eureka Springs, Arkansas. It is a place that has made me a believer. Ames, people investigate that place all the time. I would love to come and visit and revisit the Crescent Springs area and also do some panning for gold and rocks out in the Arkansas hills. Mike says, man, on a personal level, mine was very close to divorce. Instead of placing blame, realizing what I was doing wrong and deciding to make that change. Making the change is difficult. I hope and send energy to all for best of health. Yes, health, health, health. Good, good, good. Mary has sound. Crystal says, man, I've been trying to decide where to move and very anxious. So thank you. I love this. Good. I'm hoping that this makes sense when I'm speaking and that I've not completely lost my mind. Not all people know or can recycle. I think everyone can. I think knowing how to is maybe the hook, but it's not always knowing how. Again, it can just be taking the time. People, you don't have to know how to meditate, but taking the time to try, taking the time to sit, all of that is usually you will find it there. It's not a tangible thing you dug up by doing something. That earth energy is by doing nothing, which is turns out quite hard to do after all. Mike says, man, I am intrigued. I will take a card. Mike, don't laugh because you just shared what you are going through and some of what has been a catalyst for your deep change. But this is the Flamingo. Now, I think that this is a perfect card for you. It is about romance and love. Now, this month I'm going to be talking quite heavily about breaking down love. I personally like the 8 frequencies that the Greeks use. I think it is a great way to see love in an occult space and how to, when I say manipulate, I mean it in a good way, how to navigate that frequency and how to manipulate love, how to be aware of love, how to dissect love. And romance love, it can be complicated. Loving someone, ludas, loving someone, eros, loving someone, mania, the combination of those. The flamingo, of course, balancing on one foot, becoming more pink and vibrant red at the more shrimp that they eat, the more iodine in their diet. I love how they reflect their environment and their balancing 1 foot. Because, of course, a relationship is 50-50, right? But not all the time. Sometimes it's 90-10, 99-1, 59-61. But the idea that you love them when they don't love you and that they don't love you when you love them and vice versa, and that you're able to pull on this rope, this tug of war together. The runes, Manes, crossing across the tree of life, and Gebo, crossing across the tree of life in a different way. The gift of mankind to love, to balance that love, to know how to give and take, that you give what you get. That's how you control it. You give yourself love and respect and you'll get it. You give yourself money and time and you'll get it. What? That doesn't make any sense. Give it a shot. The flamingo will wait, wrap their necks around someone and balance with the other, both on 1 foot. It's really fantastic to see how they mimic and work with their environment. I think that speaks to you pretty well. Anger is energy. Anger, when we say chaos magic or when someone refers to chaos magic, many times that is utilizing anger in a yang space, and that can be problematic if you're not familiar with how to do that. Jeff, a big problem, Sarah, is today we are fed facts, quote on Dana Carvey, that turn out to be completely false. The manipulation has to cease. Taking another's word as fact has to cease. So when we have a thought, we intend, we think, and then we feel about it. And we go, I think, I feel, I think, I feel, I think, I feel, I think, I feel. The idea that we do this inside our bodies, introspectively, feminine energy, in earth, water. And then eventually it seeps out of our vessel, out of our mouth, a spiritual toot, if you will, into air. And air is where people will go, are you sure? Well, where'd you hear that? Oh, yeah? Have you ever done that before? No, I haven't done it yet. That's why I'm asking. Oh, why are you asking? Because I want to know, because I feel this certain way about it and I'd like to know. Keeping good people in your air, people that know what they're talking about, knowing the source. When air says, how do you know what you know? This is Archangel Raphael being a big ol' ass. How do you know what you know, what you know, what you know? It's always going to kick you back, usually into here, or if you know enough and feel enough and air tells you go ahead, do it, which is why bad influences, hanging around with people that go, yeah, no, that sounds like a great idea. They don't fucking know. They don't care. They don't know. They don't care. Maybe even both. But momentum will push you into doing, into fire, into action, into things that are happening, doing the things. And eventually fire burns to ash and it comes right back to earth. And then we do it all again. We do it, and it's spinning and it's expanding just like a galaxy in our universe. Teeny, teeny, tiny, like quantum double slit experiments that when one says the other is aware and it reciprocates and consciousness is aware of itself and changes its mind whenever it knows that it's been seen, like the observer effect, but it's entanglement and it's all the things, but it's very simple. And this is how sacred geometry expands out. But we say people don't, they just hear something and they just do it without question. And not only that, they're not questioning what they know. And it didn't start with an original thought. Or if you see a big enough group of people out protesting something, you think, oh, well, they must know what they're doing because they're out doing something and there's a lot of them. And this is fucking crazy chaos. Just because there's a whole lot of people doesn't mean anything. Just because you're yelling really loud, yeah, usually that might mean there's a lot of pressure if it's loud, but it doesn't have to be if you know that. It could just be that there's a lack of anything here and it's just explosive for a brief moment. And if you can't be loud for a long time, there's no consistency. It's sad to me, which is why this is why skepticism is so important. This is why the no knock is so important. This is why when we say, hey, to say, if you don't say anything, can you really say for certain what's going to happen? Versus if you say something, if you declare something, if people say, oh, it gives you time. If you're skeptic, if you're a comedian, if something you find offensive, you just ask why. Things over here are not necessarily about you. Things over here are about what we or the all or people in the yang will be doing, what you will be doing. And everything you say and do is greatly going to ripple out and affect people. Anything you say that you keep between your system and then it goes back and it might change your thoughts and feelings. Ideally, we get this moderated and then this moderated, and then it ripples out the energy that we intend for it to be. That makes sense? Hopefully it does. But yeah, that's why being able to ask questions, being able to say, well, that's just misinformation. I don't want to hear that. Well, you don't want to censor it. Revoking air in any way is revoking air. Whether it's censorship of a bad thing, it's still censorship. And so we don't want to be doing that. We just want to be able to question it. And that's okay too. But we're seeing that minimize as well, which should be something to make us quite nervous. So yeah. Morning, Tara. How are you doing? Boom. Mike says, man, I've been doing a lot of air energy lately, working outside in the summer, off in the winter, doing landscaping. Yes. And air energy, podcast, listening, speaking, arguing, debating, singing, breath work, all of this, taking criticism, understanding how to speak, detoxing your air, detoxing your system, detoxing who is in your air. All very important. Tara, boom. There's only 4 skeletons for humans in this animal spirit deck. The flowers from the dead. One of the 4, forgiveness and sacrifice. Water and fire. Forgiveness, the number 7. And this is a blank rune. This has to be something that you would do. A sacrifice has to be something that comes from your own. When someone says, we give half a sacrifice, do it. And they just push you. No, it's not the same. You can't do that. It has to be a true sacrifice. That's why some of those things in religion are so important, like baptism or confession. It's not just saying it. It's not just saying it. You got to know what you're saying. You got to mean it too. And I tell my children this as a parent, like I have one child who likes to lie a lot. And he'll lie a lot, and he won't tell me what's going on, or he won't talk in a way that's truthful. And he'll say, I promise I won't do that again. I promise I won't do that again. I promise I won't do it again. And I say, listen, why? Why will you not do it again? I don't know. Okay, Bill Cosby did a really funny skit. I don't know. Okay, well, do you enjoy doing this? Well, yeah, it's fun. Makes me happy, makes me laugh, makes me giggle. And you don't know why you do it, or you don't know why you shouldn't do it? Yeah. Well, because I said so isn't enough? Yeah, it's not enough to outweigh what I'm going to do. So I'm going to do it anyway. And you say, here, let me tell you some more. Let me give you some more information. And let me share with you how it makes mom feel. Oh, I didn't know that. Now that I know that, it might change the trajectory of what I'm doing. If I'm saying, ooh, that's hot, don't touch that, but then you see me reaching in for cookies, I'm doing something different than what I'm saying. And if these don't match up, we are going to question them. If you're saying one thing and doing another, if you say you're going to marry me and you say you're going to propose, but it's been 6 years, you say you're going to keep doing it, you keep telling me you're going to do it, you keep telling me you're going to do it, but it never happens. We say, okay, either you just don't know if you want to get married or you don't love me. And they say, listen, I just need more time to think about it. Why? Do you need more time to think? That is going to be something relative to them personally. If they say, well, I'm just not sure that I feel, what do they know? These usually are all across the board working in a way that's relevant to each other, like a bell curve, like a graph. It's kind of crazy. And it's relevant. Forgiveness and sacrifice. This is for self and others. For self and others. Love it. I love the Mother Mary. I love the veiled woman. I think it's beautiful. Steph says, that's what I've been learning, to reel it in. I love with little kids. Sometimes you'll say, show me your anxiety, and they'll show me with your hands, and and so you stop their hands and then you back it up, reel it in, actually move it the opposite way than they're doing. If you find someone pacing, stop them, turn them around, and have them pace the opposite direction. It's actually very helpful. I enjoy the dark side of people and bringing them to the light. Then do it with yourself and lead by example. If you don't want to influence people to go to or from the dark or the light, you want them to see it. You just want to buffer them to be able to see both. See both. Mary, there is something you can always learn from things. Hope you are having a good Saturday. I would enjoy a card if you have time. Sarah! Yes, Sarah. You know I love this card. The Crow. Magic. Folk magic. Mystery. Ooh. So, of course, feminine, Pertho, mystery, and magic. Looks like a paperclip. I was thinking Pertho, paperclip. Mystery and magic. I like mystery and magic. The crow different from the raven. The crow definitely more tangible. The raven more in and out, purgatory. The crow more of the delivery, more of the fire, more of the doing, more of the appellation. You cut their feet off, chicken's feet. You keep them for protection. They are out there scratching the ground, their skin filtering toxins. These are sacred creatures. Very fascinating things. Crows and ravens being able to slit their tongue and still talk, and one of the only birds that use tools. They're smart. They also tend to mate for life. And they're very social creatures that it's very important they keep good space. So I would say, Sarah, look at your coven, look at your group of people, look at your space, and then be okay with the mystery that is magic. Mystery and magic, I often will share the story of how I explained magic to my children. And I've got two boys, they're both very different from each other. When I explained magic the way that I do to younger children, of course, one was completely disappointed, and the other was mesmerized that he could somehow harness this force. The other, of course, going, "Oh, that's the force?" It's depending on how you see it. The mystery is sometimes in not knowing. Ooh, right? So, fear of it, wanting it so much that you get it, being not used to it can be scary. Discomfort and comfort for sure. I have to try very hard to not control because of childhood abuse. True. I think trauma in many ways, um, trauma breeds empathy. So we just have to, it's like a chiseling and eroding away of a vessel that's able to hold a lot of pressure, hold a lot of things, makes it a little bit deeper, more complex recipe, if you will. Jeff, I had a long talk with a young man explaining that the word no is not a personal attack. To many, lose control when told no. Some of the most successful people in the world say no the most. No is a boundary, and no is a complete sentence. No is very powerful, just like yes. And yeah, being told no is not a bad thing. I tell myself no a lot. Do I have any videos on the pick I'm holding? I don't know what that means. Ask me what you mean by that, Crystal, and I will gladly give you an answer. Paul, got to run doing new programming. Thank you for joining us. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys for joining me. Let's pull a few more here before we jump off. Krista, and don't forget, you guys can go to Paranormal Sarah. You can also PayPal. You can use Venmo. I'm doing these all weekend for just $25 as I prepare for Valentine's. Armadillo. I like that. Krista, the armadillo, carries salmonella. Be careful. I know they're cute. Protection and boundaries. How about that? And the thorn. Oh, a thorn. Of course, that would be boundary. Look at it. It even looks like a thorn. You're never going to forget that rune again, are you? Like a moat. A moat, like around a castle, like in Sword in the Stone, that has a big old barracuda in it. To and fro. Yes and no. That's what makes the world go round. And every rose has its thorn. This idea that boundaries, it's what protects things that are sacred. It's what keeps the petals on the flower and the deers out of your shit. The armadillo rolling up into a ball like Cubone or a hedgehog to keep itself safe like a roly-poly. Oh! Boundaries, protection, a moat. You can build it out of anything. It can be no. Stop in the name. Minneapolis police. Boom. It is what slows energy so that things aren't as spontaneous and hot and impulsive and crazy. Ooh, it slows things down. Baby, you want to go to bed? No. Ooh, slow in the roll. Why? Why are we slowing? Why are we slowing momentum? Being able to slow momentum? That's not a bad thing. Hell to the no. I like to play Prof. He has a song called No. It's explicit if you have children. But I tell myself all the time, working in forensic psychology, especially, I work and spend hours a day hearing heinous crime and talking with people about their heinous crime. And if I didn't have boundaries, you know, sometimes I'm working with people that may not get to see another person because they're in prison, or they're people that a lot of other people don't like, so they don't have a lot of friends. They think we're friends. Guess what? I'm not your friend. If I'm your therapist, if I'm your counselor, if I'm, you know, just because I'm there at the end of your death doesn't mean I'm your friend, but it does mean I'm sharing a sacred space with you. It means that our energies are crossing, and it does mean that I care in a sense that to even be talking with you, I'm sharing some of my energy with you. And so we've got to be protecting our boundaries. You better have a necklace. Some of those that ordered a necklace from me in my last jewelry sale, it should be in the mail coming your way. Turquoise, topaz, silver, iron, depending on what you're trying to protect yourself from. The more you know, the more you can put that into your space. Like a sigil, you look at it, salt, brick dust, goofer dust. What's that? Oh, you don't know? It's for protection. And people who would know would stop. People who would not know would stop. Gives you time. Gives you time. It's nice. Um, so there you go, Krista. Mike, 3 years? Ohio eliminates you automatically, even after they tell you to be honest. Hippity hop, hippity hop. The rabbit. I love this, Mary. Dealing with limes and mold for a long time. Oh, you should be checking out anti-parasitic things. It's a kid's record that I lost as a kid. I was diagnosed with Julian Barr, and boy, that's changed my life and the way people see me. It's actually made me stronger. And I fought ovarian cancer, which does not kill you, makes you stronger for sure. Yes, Sarah. Yes. The label, don't let it abuse you or use you. You have to be able to, it's again that using versus abusing, misuse of energy and being able to direct the flow. Um, yes, 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 yes. So, Flamingo, self love, very true. Um, accepting love is difficult, says Mary, which is why it's so easy to love others, but it's hard for me to accept someone else. That's tough. It's got to be reciprocation, though. It does. You have to get what you give, and vice versa. Shadow work, talking to and learning from Sarah has helped me so much. Oh, I love it. Mwah. We're all very dark people. We're all very capable of horrific things. Keeping it in our bodies and not sharing it, as Lincoln Park would say, sometimes just being between my ears is the darkest place in the world, and I can't be there by myself. And that's the importance of therapy and sacred space and trust and intuition and knowing who you can be in the company of, when you can scream into your pillow and not look crazy, what voices are okay to listen to. What voices? Just kidding. So yeah, you do have to mean what you say and know where you get it from. Don says, bought my own deck of cards and keep getting the 10 of Swords. 10 of Swords. 10 of Swords is a very powerful card. It means that the argument and the debate is over. 10, something very specific, a high five, but also a double whammy. Two bags in your hand, double handful, not being able to do much other than fight it out, but at least you're done. So in that sense, it is being finished. And in air, swords is air. So 10 of air means you're about to either graduate to, like, if this were a divorce, you got through all the paperwork and the contracts and the signing, and now you're getting ready to the final spaces, which would be like Jack, King, Queen, or you're going to be moving to fire, meaning the doing is finally going to happen now, because the 10 has come to culmination. I really like it when people pull the same card over and over. I have different cards that I pull over and over for certainty too, and I like it. Um, yeah, I am at the age now I rarely react to things without asking myself first if this emotional reaction serves a purpose to myself. And if then, I don't react. It's caused others to call me cold. Ah, yeah, I'm often considered a big fat bitch. And I know that that's not true. So I don't let it bother me. And I think it's interesting because I know that I'm a mirror at that point when I put up that boundary. If I know better and I can say, "Oh, I just heard that I was a big fat bitch. Do you know me? Or why are you saying that?" And it's because they don't know me. They have very little information. And then I go, do I know that I'm a bitch? Well, I'm capable of being a bitch, but was I being a bitch then? Well, no, but I mean, I was being honest. I was being transparent. And I know that a lot of people don't like that. But did I cater myself to them? Did I mask myself? Was I anything other than authentic and genuine in myself? Oh, no. I know that myself to be true and that my intention was good. And my intention was good to say, you know what? No, I'm not interested in fucking your husband or being in your porn or just because, this person isn't capable of doing the things you want, that I'm going to be some sub pineapple in your life. I'm not interested in that. Oh my God. You flew me out here for that? I thought you were my friend. Um, you should have said that first or whatever was happening. Yeah, but I know better and you know better. And so I don't take it personally. And I kind of think, oh, they think of themselves as a bitch. I bet that's why we got along a little bit. We're all capable of being one. But don't be a fucking bitch to me or anybody that I love. Or I'm going to exile you and treat you accordingly. And I do. And that's been done a lot. So I kind of like who the universe brings me. And it doesn't bring me uh, assholes. It brings me people that were assholes that are healing. It brings me people that are very capable and know what they're doing and trying to do better. It brings me people that have complicated, crazy stories with mini series and deaths and anti-heroes, but that their intentions are good, like Batman. And I like it that there's so much information and depth to each person. And when someone comes to me and they're shallow and they think I'm a bitch, I don't care. I don't care. So, toxins, salt baths, baking soda in your bath. Some people put a cap full of bleach that's questionable, and you don't, obviously, you want to be careful with that. It can cure up psoriasis. But detoxing, little lemon in your water, putting, well, they say lemons are bad and that it should originally be limes. We'll see. All sorts of stuff. Magic, toxic, cleansing, filtering, making a filter, making a moat, allowing yourself to improve. Yes, I've learned after a baby one licked me. What? Said Mary. I don't know what that is. Ten of Swords is bad, huh? No, not bad. It just means that the arguments are over, which is nice. The anti-parasitics is a big deal right now, guys. It's huge. I would definitely check into that with anti-inflammatory diseases and long COVID responses. It's something that other major countries and first world countries are doing, but somehow in America we're not. Go figure. Uh, the Chester cat, we're all mad here. It's true. We are. I love the Cheshire cat. Meta says, man, I need a card. Oh, Meta. Speaking of anti-parasitic. 8. Give and take, reciprocation. The horse. Man, we ride on it in our early postal service. It's taking us to and from water. Man, a man and his horse. Travel? Yes, because you're going to and from somewhere. Get the horse saddled up. We're going. Regulators! Mount up. But it also means that there's going to be stamina involved. The horse itself has stamina. So it just means we're taking this. Partner. It was going through the tree of life in this way. The partner. The equal. I always see them as two little people holding hands. Like if we were making the, you know, cutouts. There they are holding hands. See them? The partners. Just like a native and his horse. Or a cavalry and their horse. Atreyu! Artex! No! Artex! No! Partner. It shows great stamina, endurance, and a strong connection between you and this person that might be about the reading. You're very much, Krista. Thank you. You're welcome. You're very, very welcome. Lincoln Park is the shit. I know. I love Lincoln Park. Struggling with picking my first tarot deck. Any advice? I've only been using playing cards since I started reading myself. Okay. So one of the things I love about this, let's talk about this for just a second. There's always this like, you have to be gifted one, right? Why should it be gifted to you? Well, let me just show you why this idea is and exists and the tradition is that because yin are your thoughts and feelings. These are your thoughts and feelings. This is you. This is the outside world. This is you out shopping for a tarot deck. If you go out shopping for a tarot deck, you really like that one. The salesperson says, "Ooh, yeah, buy it." And you buy it. There's nothing wrong with that. The reason that it should be gifted to you, the reason someone says, "Oh, you're interested in learning? We're talking about this." Oh, if you want information from the divine, if you want information from the universe, from the realm, you don't want to overthink and put too much of yourself into it. You don't want to put too much of yourself into it. You want it to meet you halfway so that when you are exchanging information and doing your tarot, the yin and yang has been provided. Because when we're scrying, we don't want it to be too much of us. We don't want it to be, "Oh, well, what I think, oh, your dream had snakes in it. Let me tell you what I think about snakes." Well, first of all, I love snakes. Yes, they came to you and asked you. So, in essence, they are asking you what you know. But you, as the psychic, or you providing information, you're not just providing what you know, it's filtering in a way that you want it to be scrying. You want the information coming to you. So in scrying, we're looking at the flame, we're looking at the black obsidian mirror, we're scrying. That means to go out. That means to be using yang, the stars, the weather. When you bring it in, like Atlas shrugged, "Let me think about it." You taint it, you put yin in it, it's going to change it. The idea of being gifted your first deck is that you don't have too much of you on it, so that it's balanced. If you've already bought it and you're like, "Well, fuck me, I didn't know that," you didn't know that. And if you now know that, or at least can understand the justification of that tradition, why it's gifted or handed down through yang, you can also then go, "Well, I already did it." You put it out in the moonlight, you put it in your crystals to be charged, you get your energy off of it. That's why you're doing that. You're cleansing it because you did all the fucking stuff. And that's okay, because eventually you're just going to go, "Okay, you know what? It's a tarot deck. As Sarah has taught me, I've got the 22 pathways of the tree of life, and I know all of the tree of life and the Sephiroth and the Nephilim and how this pertains to Genesis and the scriptures and earth, air, and how I'm a yogi. And these are the chakras as well: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. Oh my God. Oh my God. This is also music. Oh my God, it's all the same thing. Wait a minute. Hold on. That's just the major arcana. The minor arcana, which is also the same thing, like yin and yang, the minor arcana 1 through 10, Jack, Queen, and King, is masculine, feminine of the earth, water, air, and fire. And it's just earth, water, air, and fire expanded out, like the leaves of the tree. What? Doesn't matter what tarot deck you're using. It's all got the same numbers and symbols. I can tell you what card you got in my jumbo. We talking. Know what I'm saying? Because it's all the same. So you can't really go wrong. But the more you know, the less skepticism you'll have. And that's fun. Mary, I think moms need to be bitches sometimes. Indeed, we are parents, not friends. The cards are wonderful. I love this deck. Don't you love it? Flowers from the Dead. You can find her online. You can also, if you're on the West Coast, go and find, she's got vending machines. Fucking brilliant marketing all over the coast. Thank you for showing up. You're such a oh, thank you. I appreciate you. I haven't bought it yet. I just don't have anyone that would gift one to me. Well, I have been known, people have been known to message me and say, "Hey, go get me a tarot deck. What do you think?" And I will absolutely go buy and shop one for you and send it to you. That is not a problem at all. And in fact, would be an honor. And I encourage all of you, divination, whether it's Bible, whether it's your favorite book, whether it's your favorite album you're rocking out to, the recipe book you're cooking from, look around you outside of self, see what the universe is telling you, then bring it in, then think about it, meditate on it. And I'm really excited. You know what I mean? To be able to talk with you guys and share some of my passions of divination with you. If you would like a private reading, if you would like your own personal reading, if you'd like me to pull a card for you, let me know. Just message me. wherever you're finding me now, watching me now, get a hold of me at paranormalsarah.com. I got to re-up my website, so those $25 readings are appreciated. And I will be in Kansas City the 18th, 19th, and 20th. So if you guys would like a personal reading, let me know. So yeah, absolutely. And Katie, Katrina, Mary, any of you guys, let me know. Absolutely, because I work with a girl in town. She's got a cute little metaphysical shop, and she tries to get in little tarot decks. But also, my first publisher was Llewellyn from Haunted by the Abyss, and they also have a really good selection of cards. So I usually am shopping either in person at that shop, or I'm going to Llewellyn and plucking from things there. I also have drawers on drawers of decks, and I can make you a deck from a playing card deck too. That's on my website if you'd like. But you guys, I so appreciate you. I appreciate you. I hope that you'll tag a friend, share this video if you enjoyed it. Be sure and join me tomorrow for the meditation. I do a daily pop in with you. And tomorrow the moon is moving. That's really the only significant thing happening, but it is going to change how we feel. So there's going to be a lot of energy movement. And if you want to be aware of how to use it, all you got to do is join me here for free. So sign up for notifications. Let me know how I can help you. And I hope that you guys have a wonderful Saturday. All right, guys. Bye.